So then she comes to me, and she changed my. She don't ask me nothing. She just changes my schedule. Wrong thing, baby. That's wrong thing, baby, right there. You don't do that. You talk to me. As much tenure as I have here, as much as I do for this place, as much as I help you lead this place in the right direction, you don't need to ask me. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Don't get it twisted.
I'ma reach the top if it kills. Bitch can't do it like me. Bitch can't do it like me.
Laid back.
I'ma reach the top if it kills me.
What's up and what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Laidback since '96, and I'm back at it with another sideline story. Now, this sideline story is talking about the time why I had to leave my first job. Now, for those of you that don't know, my first job, I worked there for like 5 years. Actually, maybe, you know what? I think 4 months shy of 5 years, but I worked there for a good while. And, you know, it's kind of hard to work somewhere for 5 years, you know? And reasons why is like, you know, you start getting comfortable, you know, you start getting, but you also start getting expectations. You also start having to be a role model for new incoming employees, you know what I mean? And you start to get complacent, like, and then it's just like, it just becomes a part of a time where it's just like, you never know when to go is to go if you're not, you know, satisfying yourself at that job, you know what I mean? So it's like, you never know, like, actually, I got more for that. But before we get into all that, come on now, guys. Subscribe. If you keep coming back, subscribe, okay? Subscribe. And hit the bell. Hit the bell so you know whenever I'm posting. I think y'all are missing my videos. And you know what? We can fix that. Just hit that bell, okay? Hit that bell. But back into the story. So again, the first place I worked at was a fast food joint. Not gonna drop the name. And I initially got the job because my dad knew a manager that worked at this fast food, right? And this manager, you know, I still had to apply, you know, and I remember it was like the summer of 2013. I still had to apply. Now I applied to a bunch of places, you know, applied to a bunch of fast foods, you know, and luckily for me, that fast food joint actually, you know, they took my application, me knowing the manager, got me in there for the interview, you know, and, you know, I remember working on it was either a Monday or a Sunday. Man, I think it was a Monday. It was a Monday because it was too slow to be a Sunday. It was on a Monday. I worked 4 hours. And man, I was sitting there like, it was a weird experience, man. It was a very weird experience. But it was a new experience and I liked it, you know. That marked the day of slightly more independence from my parents, you know what I mean? So that's always good. I would always say, hey, your first job, no matter how terrible, how hurting, you know, how much you may think it's demeaning, hey man, that's the first step. It's 3 steps in my mind. You know, you get your own job, you get your car, you know, and then you get your dorm room. Those are like your first 3 like steps of independence from your parents, you know what I mean? Or your apartment. And those are the things that just starts to separate you from being up under your parents and actually experiencing the world, doing your own thing. But you know, I went off topic too much. Let's get back to the story. So during this time, you know, during my me working at this place, I've had like 3 different general managers, you know, a bunch of managers, excess of just co-workers. And at this point, the manager that ended up helping me get on, that knew my dad, she had went to another one in the franchise that was actually closer to where she worked. Where she lived. And she also had another job that she, and that job, it was just a more convenient thing for her. And she was getting a lot of stress from working as the GM of this one. Plus, I guess she wasn't feeling like appreciated like a lot of us that stuck there and been there for years felt. So, you know, you can see where this is going. But we had a new GM. She came in from Wisconsin, guys.
What you say?
Wisconsin, man. And I said it exactly like that on purpose. No shade and no disrespect to anybody that lives in Wisconsin. T-Pain says Wisconsin.
Somewhere in Wisconsin.
But you know what? I'm not disrespecting it for real. But you know, hey, she came from Wisconsin. First red flag. You ain't even in the South. Why are you coming down all the way over here? You must have been in some real deep boo-boo. I'm trying to keep it PG. Using a real deep boo-boo to have to bring and move your family from Wisconsin. Ooh, I almost said the T-Pain one. Wisconsin all the way down to Alabama. So that's first red flag. But she also came from another fast food joint, but it wasn't even in the category of fast food that we did. Now listen, guys. The fast food joint that I did, you know, they specialized in seafood, okay? Yeah. Maybe some of y'all just guess where I work. Some of y'all might still get it wrong. I don't care. Tell me in the comments where you think I worked at. Gotcha. Comment where you thought I worked at, man. Hit them comments. Let's go. But anyway, and she came from a joint that did burger and nuggets, guys. So already whole different scenario. Moving from almost F-bomb job. Moving from hamburgers and nuggets all the way down to seafood, which sometimes does, you know, some chicken tenders. You feel me? Still had fries, but had more of, you know, slaw, you know, all that other stuff, baked potatoes. You know, okay, I ain't gonna get on to that. But so she's already coming from a whole different state that's literally the other side of the country, vertically, and also it's like she's coming from a whole different side, and she's coming from a whole different chain of different restaurants. So there's just two red flags there, and it's just like, man. But you know what? We took it with a grain of salt, you know? So she comes in, you know what I mean? She does the typical GM stuff, come in, and honestly, let me tell you, yes, she's, as y'all already know, as I said, she's a female, and she was short AF. I think she was under 5 feet, guys. So think about that, a lady that's under 5 feet, coming in, wearing glasses, puffy hair, white again, and she wants to show that she's big dog, she's big boss, you know what I mean? Like Akbar say, I'm big dog, bitch. I'm big dog. Y'all don't know that reference from Love and Hip Hop. Oh, shit.
I'm self-made. Big dog, bitch. Big dog. Look way better than you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Shout out to Love and Hip Hop. Yeah, man. So she came up in there trying to like show that like she's a part, like she's the one running the show. She running the show, right? She running the show. And you know, I mean, we all was like, all right, we'll get first strike. We'll let it ride. She is our new boss, our new direct boss. So you know, we're gonna try and see how this goes. I lived on the west side at this time. I was still staying with my parents. You know, I lived on the west side. You know what I mean? And my job was 13 miles from my home where I lived. 13 miles, 13.1 miles, okay? People usually lived 4 to 6 miles away from this place. I lived 13 miles in the opposite direction away from this place, okay? On the west side, okay? That's what it is. And what's crazy is it was 4 other people who lived on the west side with me, okay? And see, this new GM, she wanted to strut her power so much. People were leaving because the old GM had left. The old GM had left, and people were leaving because most of the people, a good amount of the people that were working there were working for that GM because they really respected her.
Put some respect on my name.
And they messed with her. You know what I mean? Like they was cool with her, so they stayed, including me. Because honestly, disclaimer, I actually wanted to leave like 3 years into my tenure there, you know? But my dad, talked me into staying even though I wasn't happy there. So he was like, you need to work. You need to work. You know what I mean? This place is going to be the best to work with your school schedule. So he went from that logical understanding. I got it. I don't begrudge him for that. Either way, for those 2 years, I was not happy where I worked at all. Like, I was not cool where I worked. This is not cool. And then that's what I'm saying. So adding on the thing of I was not happy where I worked. And then, like, here comes the BS. This is where the disrespect started to happen. And that's where I was like, that's where I ended up ultimately leaving. But, so the crazy thing about this is, the new GM was like, hey, we gon' sit up here. We don't have that many people here. And this thing, she thought the hard workers should have to have two. It was a thing called split shifts. Split shifts is like you work from 11 to 2 or like 11 to 3, and then you come back in and you work 5 to 8. You see what I'm saying? So say you get off at 3, and now you got to come back. You got to go leave 2 hours, and then have to come back and work another 3 hours to get all your hours for that day type thing. This is how retarded this junk was. Or it's like, oh, you work 10 to 1. Yes, stupid as 10 to 1. And you come back 4 to 9 or 3 to 8. Stuff like that. Like, that's how she started doing the schedule. And the thing is, first time she did that, because the thing is, she did that with other people, right? She did that with other people. They talked to her. And these other people lived in the same area I did. Lived in the same area that I did, guys. Now, same area, right? And she sits up here and she does what they want because they end up being her favorites. She has favorites, so they were her favorites. So she knows what she did. She didn't make them do that no more. Now these are 4 people, and she made sure them 4 people did not do that no more. And these are the people that work there as many days as I do, right? So then she comes to me, and she changed my. She don't ask me nothing. She just changes my schedule. Wrong thing, baby. That's wrong thing, baby, right there. You don't do that. You talk to me. As much tenure as I have here, as much as I do for this place, as much as I help you lead this place in the right direction, you don't need to ask me. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Don't get it twisted. Yes, you do. You gotta ask me. You better ask me. You didn't ask me, and you got what you got. So, she sit up there, she switches up the schedule. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna work it. No, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell her, but I'm gonna work it. Cause you know what? We didn't already have this understanding, so she didn't know. So I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, look, I told her, like, I live on the west side. You know what I mean? And she knows that's 13 miles away. You know what I mean? I tell her, because the thing is, she's from Wisconsin. So I'm like, hey, I live in the same area that these people lived in. You know what I'm saying? I live in the same area. Just like you understood that they couldn't do that, I can't do that either. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to be off for 2-3 hours and then having to drive back. That's just unnecessary gas. Just let me work all the way through. Just let me work all the way. And that's the thing. No, I didn't want to work like 11 to 7. But that would have been better than doing the split shift. Or even then, that's the thing. I wasn't exactly trying to do that. I was literally like, hey, you got me for 11 to 2 and then, 4 to 7. Let me just work the 11 to 5, 11 to 6. And then we good. Then, you have somebody else. That's what I was trying to tell her, like, hey, man, we can have a cool medium right here now. I thought I was being very reasonable because I'm like, you don't have to worry about that break. I'm here doing extra work. Shoot, we could do that. But don't sit up here and have me do that because that's unnecessary. That's unnecessary driving. It does not really work with my schedule. But anyway, point is, that was just, she already honored that by somebody else. Yet when it came to me, and again, she's white. The people in question, all the coworkers, me and the 4 coworkers, we're all black, okay? So these 4 black people, they can get it the right way. That makes sense. But I can't. See, if you're gonna hold, and that's the thing. So she ended up doing it again. And I was like, excuse me.
The food on my plate, young nigga driving a foreign, don't know what to do in a rape. Keep two in the safe, it look like I'm choking my paddock, cause that bitch is blowing the face. No view in the wake, niggas will shoot at your face and jump in the coupe and just race. I've been locked in the booth for a day. You asked to get out, niggas moving like train.